Okay, I thought my job would be done with this guitar, but it ain't. It's a little dark here. I'm doing this at night, and I'm doing it in my bed because I don't feel good. No, I don't have the coronavirus. I just don't feel good. It has to do with me being paralyzed. Just some complications. So what I gotta do is put some back. I have to cut these nut slots. Well, first I had to raise and shim this brand new Tusq nut I got because it was too short. Whoever had this guitar before me must have tried to put a new nut in, and I had to smooth the nut slot out, make it flat and smooth. So I had to shim the nut, and I'll show you how I do that a little later. Right now I have a problem. What I have to do, oh, excuse me, here we go. I'm getting those sitar sounds from the nut. See, you can hear that. And if I isolate it at the nut, if I isolate it at the first fret, it doesn't. It goes away. I don't know if you can see how or hear how clear that sounds, but this is open, and this is at the first fret. So that means the nut is improperly cut. It needs to be the break angle going towards the tuner post needs to be dressed. The break angle going over the tuner, going over the nut to the tuner post has to be it has to be dressed properly. Let's see. I don't know if I can get a good shot of this. Now, the thing is, how am I going to do this? I usually use white. I usually work on strats, and I use white or off-white nuts, so I could put a pencil mark in there and see where I'm cutting. So what am I going to do now? How am I going to know if I cut too much, or where am I going to cut, and when to stop? Because the string is supposed to come right off the front of the nut. Right now it's going over the back and touching the whole back of the nut, and it's making that sitar sound on most of the strings. Some of the bass strings seem to be okay, but I'm going to double check. But especially the E, B, and G string, it needs to be dressed, the file slot. So how am I going to know if I can't see inside the nut slot with a black nut. Well, let's see. Here we go. That's plain old baby powder. If you can see that. I just put some plain old baby powder into the nut slot. Now, oh boy, cutting a nut slot is dangerous enough as it is. You only got one chance to get it right. So me holding a tablet and trying to cut a nut slot is going to be one tricky proposition. Now, what you have to do when you cut a nut slot, you really want to try to angle it towards the post that the string goes to. Where it wraps around, you want to angle it towards there. So, let's see what we got here. Let's see if this works. We'll wiggle it back and forth a little bit. I taped it up so I wouldn't do too much damage. To the face of the headstock. I don't want any of that white stuff to come off. If that powder comes off, that means I cut into the face. And right now, the nut slots are perfect. It's always that final last words. Just one more stroke of the file. That's the one that kills you. Looks like I'm getting close. I don't know if you can see that. One of these days, I'll get a camera rig or something to rig this up. I have a little tripod. I think they have holders for for phones and tablets. Sometimes you think if you go out and buy a Tusq nut, you can just drop it in there and it'll work. But that's not always the case. Ooh, a little bit. All right, get out of there. I wonder if powder is let's see. Sounds good to me on that one. It's coming right off the front. Oh! It's coming right off the front of the nut. Right here. That's what you want. Want it to come right off the front. If it comes off anywhere else, it's going to throw off your intonation. It's going to buzz. Oof. I just put my hand right in my powder. It's alright, I'll smell good tonight. Where's my pick? Hear the difference between those two? Here's my B string. Sounds like a sitar. Here's my E string. Nice clear. Because the ramp coming off the back of the nut is now filed right. And I'll put a little bit of graphite in there anyway from a pencil. So, now I have to do the other the other 5 strings and make the break angle for those go down on all of those other nut slots. And I'm not going to sit here and do this while I'm holding my tablet with one hand. I'm going to do that off camera, and then I'll come back and show you another trick. All right. Anyway, here's the guitar. Well, it's got a little bit of tape around the nut just for protection. And those are the new tuners. That's the bridge, pickups, tailpiece. Those are pretty, and they work well too. They work pretty damn good. It's difficult because the light from the ceiling, if I go to put it right over there, it hides the light, it shades the light. So I have to do it this way. Anyway, oh, here's another thing I wanted to talk about this guitar. This guitar here is what's called a MIRC guitar. If anyone's not familiar with that, well, now's the time to get familiar. Look at the serial number on it. You see how it's the last 3 numbers have been deleted, or they tried to erase it. And if you look real close, let's see if I can get it. There, you see that stamp? It says used. Now, MIRC, M-I-R-C, is a company called the Musical Instrument Reclamation Center or corporation or something like that. And this was a MIRC guitar, and what they do is they take damaged or seconds from the factories, and they do it to all of them. Fender, Epiphone, Gibson, all, there are many instrument makers. They take this either damaged, and that's why this guitar had that that damaged area down there. It was damaged, so they put it in a pile and sent it and sold them all. They sell them to this company called MIRC. You can look it up online. It's called MIRC, Musical Instrument Reclamation Center. I think it's Center or Corporation. I'm not sure what the C stands for, but they're called MIRC guitars, and this was one of them. And that's why the nut slot was cut wrong. there was a gash in the bottom of someone probably dropped this at the factory. I thought the guy I got it from did it, but I don't know. But now I'm thinking otherwise. Yeah, the nut was broken, so they tried to cut the nut slot, and yeah. So this is remember that one. If you ever see a guitar, if you ever go shopping for an electric guitar, and you see that on the back, usually the stamp that says used is more, it's stamped deeper, and you can see it, but they tried to delete, see how they tried to delete the last three numbers of the serial number? That's so you can't make a claim on this guitar, a warranty claim. And this is a 2010 model. They left that. Sometimes they delete the whole serial number. Sometimes they just delete the last three numbers, like this, like they did here. So this guitar is 10 years old, and they did this 10 years ago, I guess. So now I was looking at some. This is just a little information about this guitar. It's a an Epiphone SG G-400, and it's got the satin finish, and it's got a neck like a baseball bat. Now the new ones, if you go on anywhere, like if you go to Sweetwater or any place that sells guitars, this model, I think it's called road worn or worn, worn finish. It just has a it's got a satin finish and mahogany body, and this is just a very thin veneer of I believe cherry wood, and you can see, you probably can't see it well with this crappy tablet, but if you were right here, you'd be able to see the veneer, where the veneer stops, and especially over there where that damaged part was, you could see the veneer got chipped off. That's what happened here. It fell down, and a chip of the veneer, this grainy, nice looking grain veneer, got chipped off. So remember that if you ever go and buy a guitar, if you ever go to buy a guitar, take a look at the serial number at the back and see if it's like this. See if it's like that. Then you know it's a MIRC guitar. It's a second, or it was damaged, or it didn't pass quality control, It was a factory second guitar. So that's what this guitar was. Now I'm doing my best. I knew this right from the beginning when I got the guitar. I knew it was a MIRC guitar. But that's why it's been hanging around, waiting for me to do something with it. But ooh, I'm doing my best. And I'm going to try to make it play. I plugged it into the amp and it sounds really, really good through the amp. But you can still hear on the open strings, you can still hear that sitar type sound. So I'm gonna fix that and I'll get back to you in the next video. I'm out here. Everybody be safe. Stay strong. God bless America.